I hate the sound of my voice, but I'm determined to make these videos. So here goes. Hi, I'm Sam, and I love movies. So I'm in the process of moving and going through a bunch of boxes and stuff, and I came across a box of some of my old physical media, and I thought that I would share a few of the titles with you because they are some of the few surviving physical DVDs and Blu-rays that I still have in my possession that made it out of and survived my early 20s. Because back in the early 2000s, when I was in my early 20s, I used to sell DVDs and Blu-rays, and actually I don't know if Blu-rays existed yet, but I used to sell DVDs and CDs for beer money. So yeah, that's what we used to do back in the day when we were poor and we were going clubbing like 2-3 times a week. One of my biggest regrets during that time is that I sold my collector's edition of the original Wicker Man. It was the one that came in a wooden box and it had the Wicker Man silhouette burned into the top of it. It was beautiful, and I will regret that to my dying day. I mean, I should probably just buy another one at this point, but now it's like a lesson. I learned a lesson, and I don't even drink beer anymore. So anyway, I found some titles that I wanted to talk with you guys about today. Kind of obscure ones, and then just ones that I think have been overlooked in recent years and that deserve a little bit of attention. So let's see what we have here. I guess we'll start with one of my favorite Disney titles. It's not super duper popular, but when I was a little girl and I had my tonsils out when I was 5, I watched this particular title over and over again, and then it became kind of like my sick day movie. And then when I had my son and he was little, he took a shine to it and it became his sick day movie, and that is The Sword and the Stone. I love this era of Disney animated features. Sword in the Stone is one of my favorites, probably in my top 5. I love the characters throughout this film. I would say that Merlin is probably my favorite. He's so sweet and cute and funny and whimsical and quirky, and I just think it's a really great Disney title, a little maybe underappreciated, deserves more credit than it's given. I recently took my kids to Disneyland and they both tried to pull the sword out of the stone and neither of them were worthy of it. We'll try again next time, but that kind of brought back memories of my childhood and watching this, and made me want to watch it again. So I'm really glad that I ran across it in my random box of physical media. So there's a little damage to the box, but the DVD seems to be in good condition. So the only thing I think I have that I could even play these on anymore is our old PS4. I think I can play DVDs on that. I don't even remember. But that's not really the point. The point is I still have some physical media in my presence, and I would like to keep it that way, and I'll probably be displaying them on a shelf once we move. Yeah, I'm glad that I held on to some of these. Okay, next, what do I have in here? Oh, here. This is a good one. Dirty Rotten Scoundrels. I grew up watching this one with my dad quite a bit. My dad loved this movie. He thought it was hilarious. Every time he watched it, it was like he was watching it for the first time. There's one particular scene where where Steve Martin is pretending to be in a wheelchair, and I should note my dad was actually in a wheelchair for many, many years. So I think his humor for or his appreciation for this scene was based maybe on a little bit of experience. But anyway, Steve Martin is pretending to be he's in a wheelchair, pretending to need to be in a wheelchair. He is pretending that he, I believe, was like a Navy veteran who was wounded and was paralyzed. And there's a part where Michael Caine is trying to get him to break character by inflicting pain on his legs. And he's like poking him at one point, and then there's a part where he like gets a running start with this reed, like this long stick thing, and he like smacks him right in the shins, and Steve Martin has like tears welling up in his eyes, and you can just see that he is in agony, but he doesn't break character, and he's just serious, and he's like, I don't feel anything, you know. But anyway, Dirty Rotten Scoundrels, super hilarious, rather timeless comedy that I grew up watching, and I watched with my kids several times, and we quote it like on the regular. If you've never seen it, you should. It's great. Dirty Rotten Scoundrels. Glad I still hung on to this one. Now this is funny. I had no idea that I had so many copies of this particular title. This is a title that I grew up with as well, and that I still enjoy to this day, and I will love for the rest of my life. There are several versions of it, and I appreciate every version I've ever seen. I think the animated version would probably be my favorite. And there's a section of it that was done by Disney that I'll talk about in a second. But first, I got to show you what I'm talking about so you can grasp where I'm going with this. Okay, so not only do I have one version of The Wind in the Willows, but I have two versions of Wind in the Willows. Oh, wait, what's this? No, I have three versions of The Wind in the Willows. Why? I'm not really sure. I don't know how I acquired all three of them, but I can guarantee you that I will be keeping them all. One of them is actually the Wind in the Willows, A Tale of Two Toads, so it's its own feature. Well, these two are basically identical. But my favorite adaptation of this would be the one that is specifically about Mr. Toad that Disney released, and then they have the ride based on that, Mr. Toad's Wild Ride, which we just went on a couple weeks ago when we were at Disneyland, and it's still just as much fun as it was when I was there when I was 7 and rode it. But anyway, it's one of my favorite childhood books and collection of stories. It's the coziest, it's the sweetest, it's basically like my dream life would be to be in a cozy little tree or hole somewhere with Molly and Ratty and Mr. Toad and Badger. These are my boys. These are my boys. They've been here with me since the beginning, and apparently they will be here with me till the end of time because I have 3 copies of them. So, Wind in the Willows. Love it. Love it. Mwah. Okay, now this one takes us way back. I grew up with these. My parents grew up with these. I don't know if you guys are even going to know what this is. But we're going back to the Little Rascals. We're talking black and white OG Little Rascals, baby. This is the mega pack. It's in my hands. It will never leave my hands. I'm so glad that I have this. Like I said, I grew up with this. Like, some of my earliest memories of watching anything is Little Rascals. I could describe every single episode by heart. I can quote them probably forward and backward. I quote them all the time. These guys are embedded in me. And of course, there was the 90s movie version that was made, and I also adore that, and I've seen it a million times. I'm sure you guys have too. But it's kind of funny because I've noticed that a lot of people don't even know that there was a version of the Little Rascals before the 90s adaptation. And it's like, yeah, guys, it was a whole series. There's a ton of episodes. Go back and watch them. They're hilarious. Yes, it was a different time. Culture was much different back then. There are some things that might make you feel a little bit uncomfortable when it comes to the way that culture has changed. But all of these kids, no matter what background they come from, they were all extremely talented. They were all showcased on this show. They all had great characters and lines, and their comedic timing was just nuts. I mean, these were little kids, man, and they were just so great at what they did, and I'm so glad that I held on to this. So if you get a chance to find these, I don't know if they're streaming anywhere, maybe try YouTube. It's kind of obscure, really, really old, but if you have a chance to view these, I highly recommend viewing the Little Rascals. They were also referred to as Our Gang back in the day, so yeah. Oh, this is a good one, this is a good one. Okay, so little story behind this one. My sister gave me this DVD because my nephew, her son, was traumatized by it, and he like didn't even want it in the house. So she gave it to me because she knew I would appreciate it. She knew that I liked it as a kid, and she just, you know, knowing me, she was like, I thought you might want this, and of course I did. We are talking about the Disney classic. It's kind of obscure. It's one of those titles that Disney would like us to forget. They were a bit ashamed of it, and it has since become, I think, a cult classic and has its own little following, at least I would hope. We are talking about the Black Cauldron. So if you've never seen the Black Cauldron, it's probably because you've never heard of it. When it came out, Disney was really banking on this being a success, and unfortunately it wasn't. It was a major flop, and so Disney was one of those titles that it just kind of wanted to forget about and wanted everyone else to forget about, so it was out of print for many, many years. The main reason for that is that the subject matter was pretty dark. This wasn't a super happy movie. It had a lot of more mature subject matter. It dealt a lot with loss and death and sadness. There was a lot of dark and you know, kind of evil magic in it, and in some ways the evil magic won. I mean, it wasn't all, you know, oh, all the characters are happy in the end and everybody's good to go. It was like, no, you know, we lost some lives. And without giving too much away, there's a very sweet little creature in this movie that ends up making the ultimate sacrifice. And, you know, by today's standards with Disney, he would have come back somehow, or something would have stopped him, and he would have made it to the end. But unfortunately, he does not, and I guess that traumatized a lot of kids. And it also is pretty scary. There are some scenes in this that really scare little kids, and so parents were not crazy about the Black Cauldron, and therefore Disney decided they weren't crazy about it either. But I am super glad that I have a copy of it, and I'm definitely going to be holding on to this, and I will be watching it again soon too, because it needs another watch. This next one is kind of obvious, and in recent years it's had a kind of resurgence. I've always loved it. I watch it multiple times every Christmas season. I know all the words. I am a huge fan of the company that made this film and all of the characters in it, and we are talking about the Muppets Christmas Carol. I'm a huge, huge Muppety person. I absolutely love and adore Jim Henson, all of his productions over the years. I love Disney, you know, since they came together. That's great. It's a recipe for success. When this came out, it wasn't that big of a hit. It was popular, and we probably all saw it as kids, but it wasn't considered something that you would watch every year necessarily. But in recent years, it has like exploded. I'm an artist, and I do a lot of my own Muppet inspired original art, and I make wooden jewelry with this artwork on it. I make some specifically Muppet Christmas Carol pieces. My most popular piece, I don't have a pair to show you right here, but is actually Statler and Waldorf, my two favorite Muppets, as Marley and Marley, and their earrings made out of wood with chains. Anyway, I'm link in the bio. Just gonna put that in there casually, but anyway, if you've never seen the Muppets Christmas Carol, you gotta watch it. Put it on your list for this Christmas, and you'll be wanting to watch it every year. It's a classic. It's the most accurate to the original novel by Dickens, actually, despite the fact that it's portrayed by Muppets and Michael Caine as Scrooge. But it's a riot. It's great. I can't get through the Christmas season without watching it like 20 plus times. So anyway, Muppet Christmas Carol, if you've never seen it, see it, and I'm so glad that I have a physical copy of it. Oh, here we go. This is kind of obscure, but some of you will probably, it'll resonate with some of you, I hope. It's an 80s version of The Secret Garden, and of course there have been multiple versions that have come out of this over the years, but this is my favorite version. This is the one that I grew up with. This is the one that I watched on rainy days and learned all of the dialogue for. And also it's really cool because it features a young Colin Firth at the end, who plays Colin as an adult. And that was the first time I ever saw Colin Firth. And then since then, you know, he's been in many things. And my favorite thing that he's been in other than this would be Pride and Prejudice and the Bridget Jones Diary movies. So if you love Colin Firth and you want to see a really young version of Colin Firth, you should watch this version of The Secret Garden. First time I saw it, it was on TV. I think it was on PBS, and it was a mini-series. So we watched it over the course of like, I don't know, like a couple weeks or something when I was a kid, and we recorded it onto a VHS, and I just wore that thing out because I watched it so much. But anyway, this is my favorite version of The Secret Garden. Since we just got back from Disney and California Adventure, I saw this title and I wanted to include it because I feel like it's kind of been forgotten over the past, I don't know, decade or so. And it's so special and it's so good. And I'm really happy that it's getting kind of a resurgence in recent, like, I don't know, 5 years or something. I just see more content related to it, and I see people talking about it more, and I think that's because the kids that grew up with it when they were really young, the kids that were young, like my son, they're in their teens now, and they're kind of going through nostalgia, and so this is coming up more often, and I think it's really great because it deserves all of the attention that it's been getting recently, and that is Disney Pixar Cars. My son, when he was little, everything was Cars. It was, you know, Cars and Star Wars, pretty much. That was my boy. So Cars is very special to me because it reminds me of when my 17-year-old son was a little guy, and it's special to him because it brings back that nostalgia from when he was little, when it was his favorite thing in the whole wide world. So we went to California Adventure a couple weeks ago, and we got to go to Cars Land, and it was just like the most precious thing in the world to go to Radiator Springs with my 17-year-old who grew up loving Cars so very much. And I feel like with Disney Pixar, there are certain titles that get more credit and more attention. You know, Toy Story is obviously great, but it's always, everybody's always talking about Toy Story. And I just feel like Cars doesn't get enough love, and I think it deserves a ton of love because it's hilarious, it's clever, the soundtrack is great, and then being in Radiator Springs and Cars Land recently, it just really reignited that love for me for Cars. So I'm glad we have a physical copy of Cars. All right, two more. I had two big boxes, so there's like more of these that I might be going through later, but for today I'm going to try and cut it short because I'm going on too long. This is a copy of my favorite movie of all time. I have multiple versions of this. I have different anniversary editions. I have DVDs, Blu-rays, VHSs, but this one that I just happened to run across today is a Blu-ray plus DVD plus digital copy of Jaws. My favorite movie of all time. One of my first loves in life, one of my first fears. My dad let me watch this with him when I was 5, which I think is too young to watch Jaws, but I thank him forever, Dad. Thank you for letting me watch this with you when I was 5 years old, because it is the reason that I love film so much and that I am a cinephile. This movie right here. After I watched it when I was a little kid, I didn't sit on the toilet for like maybe a couple of years after watching it because I had convinced myself in my little noodle brain that Bruce was going to come up through the toilet and bite me in the ass. So I have recently found out that other people had the same reaction. I thought that I was just friggin' weirdo. Like, who like hovers over the toilet because they're afraid that a mechanical shark is going to come up and bite them. But I did a little bit of research online and found out that I wasn't the only one. So there are other weirdos out there just like me. But anyway, I will not go off on why this movie is my favorite movie of all time, because there are a million reasons and that would take all day. So I'll just say that I'm really glad that I kept this copy, and I hope that I come across my other copies. They're stored somewhere. But anyway, yeah, Jaws, it's the best. What else is there to say? So this one might be the most obscure title that I ran across today, depending on how old you are and what you were into when you were really, really young. It's another title where there are a bajillion versions that have been done of it over the years. It's a classic children's novel that has been adapted for screen and stage and everything you can think of, and that is Alice in Wonderland. This title is from the 80s, and it was made for TV. I grew up watching it on a VHS tape that we had taped off of television when it had aired, so it had all the commercials in between and all that good stuff. I wish we still had that, but I don't think that that exists anymore. But I'm so glad that I have a DVD version of it, because I loved this when I was a kid. Now, a lot of people will tell you that this particular adaptation is nightmare fuel. And I mean, it kind of is, but I was one of those kids where I liked things when they were a little bit creepy, and I'm one of those adults who loves things that are creepy. So I fully appreciate that about it. A lot of it, I think, has to do with the uncanny valley aspect to it, with the way that the humans who are in costume look with all of their makeup on and their prosthetics. Some of the characters are a bit creepy looking, but you know, the entire concept of Alice in Wonderland is a bit creepy, and in a way that was intended. So I think it works, and for me, it definitely works. And this is one of my favorite versions of Alice in Wonderland. I would have to say my number one favorite version would be the Disney animated feature of Alice in Wonderland. I would probably say this is a close second, and then third I would give to Tim Burton, but this is a great one. It's very, very 80s. It's a timeless tale, but it's so 80s that it feels strange and a little off-putting, and I think that's part of the creepiness of it, and that's what I love specifically about it so much. So if you've never seen this version, you should check it out. I don't know if it's streaming anywhere, but check YouTube because it's pretty obscure. It was made for TV, so I'm pretty sure it's not going to be in print anywhere anymore. But if you like obscure, kind of weird 80s things from your childhood that feel like a fever dream, this is for you. Check it out. You're going to love it. So that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed the titles that I happened to run across today. I hope that if you haven't seen some of them, that you'll put them on your list for whatever time of year that you have where you like to watch a lot of movies, whether it's during the holidays or maybe on long summer days when you're inside cooling off in the what's it called, air conditioning, or maybe for a sick day. Maybe The Sword and the Stone can be your sick day movie now, like it was for me and my son. I hope you enjoyed this video. I feel like I just want to kind of talk to you guys sometimes and discuss different things, like, you know, when I find a box of physical media in my garage that I kind of forgot existed. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did and you want to talk with me and chill with me and just kind of, you know, talk movies and a little bit of pop culture in the conversation here and there, that you'll give me a like, a follow, and a subscribe. And like I said, I'm also an artist, so lots of times I like to post things that I am in the process of designing or illustrating or sculpting or making. And I do have a Etsy shop, and the link is in my description. So if you're interested in my artwork as well, you should also like, follow, and subscribe, and check out my Etsy shop. I would love to make something for you. And lots of times I should note this, I do have a bunch of products that you can choose from that are all handmade, all hand illustrated. I'm the artist, I'm the crafter and creator, I'm the maker. So there's lots for you to choose from on there, but I also do custom pieces all the time. If you don't see what you're wanting, shoot me a DM and I will do my absolute best to create whatever it is that you desire. And hopefully we can strike up a nice friendship here through movies and pop culture and art. And hopefully I can bring some joy and some whimsy to the world. My shop is Samantha Lee Whimsy Shop on Etsy. So it all kind of full circle comes together. And I hope you've enjoyed your time here with me today. I know I've enjoyed talking at you, and I would love to hear from you in the comments below. So have a great day. I hope it's whimsical and positive and happy and joyful and full of love.